Hi guys, it's Hilary from We Love Smart Keto. Hello and welcome to another Facebook Live. I hope you've been having a really great few days over this weekend. Just here today to answer some questions and answers, well, answer some questions rather. And so give us a one if you're watching this live. It'd be great to see you. Welcome. So we're going to answer some questions at the end of the Facebook Live today. I'm going to be announcing last week's winner and giving you the details of this week's competition. So make sure that you stick around for that. We're going to be here probably for 10 or 15 minutes. So a bit of a short one. Good morning, Alex. Good morning. Oh, good morning here. Good evening probably for you. It's a very chilly morning here. The car dinged this morning because it was less than zero. We always think of Australia as hot, but let me tell you, in the winter, it is not. So welcome. How are you doing today? Let us know how you're going today. So, as I said, we're going to announce the winners at the end of last week's competition, and then we'll also tell you what next week's or this week's competition is going to be. So I've got a few questions here that I've sort of picked up along the way over the last couple of weeks. So the first one is, why does keto work? Why does the keto lifestyle work? Put in the comments, tell me why you think it works. What's the main reason that I know that this week we've been seeing a lot of success from people in the group. We talked about what are the benefits that you've had, and I know that a number of you have posted exactly why it's really helped you. So why do you think it works? What's the main thing for you that's made it work? So the principle of keto, I'm going to talk about to answer that question, just a couple of reasons why it works. One is technical and sort of scientific. And the other one I think is more personal, and for me it's really the key reason why I think that keto works. So the technical reason is basically that it lowers our insulin levels in the body, and so it enables lowering insulin levels enables fat to be released from our fat cells and enables us to burn the stored fat that we have in our bodies, and therefore enables us to lose weight and to be healthier. And we can avoid, type 2 diabetes, we can avoid cardiology problems, heart problems, and there's a lot of other side things. Yes, Alex, you're exactly right. I'm going to come to that point. Alex, you're spot on, I think, in terms of so that's the scientific technical reason that it works. But I think that Alex's point about the main reason that it works is that it's super easy to follow. And why is it easy to follow? Well, because you avoid hunger. Pretty much every other diet I've ever done or eating plan I've ever followed, you kind of have to push through till dinner time, and then you eat dinner and you're still not kind of full. But because the keto diet is a high fat, high healthy fats in it, it keeps you full. And because it keeps you full and fuller for longer, and you don't feel so hungry, or you don't get hungry in between meals, it's very easy to follow. And secondly, there are many, many delicious things that you can eat on keto. We talk about being able to have bacon and eggs for breakfast. Not everybody likes that. You can follow keto as a vegetarian, but there are many, many great options for what we can eat. We don't have to make carb lookalikes, keto carb substitutes. We can eat some beautiful, delicious things. Some pate is just like a fantastic thing to eat on. Keto. It has cream, it has chicken livers or whatever type of livers you want to put into it. It's delicious, it's tasty, perfect keto food. And it's pate, for me, pate, olives, cheese, awesome. And I love fresh leafy vegetables as well. In fact, later today I'm going to make some kale chips, and that'll be a great little addition that I can put on the side of my meals. So tell me, what's the thing that has made it easiest for you? Alex has told us that it's, let me just check here, it's very easy to follow, and over time you don't miss the carbs. Absolutely. So that's the first question that we've had today. Let me check my second question. The second question is, can I drink milk? Well, I live in Australia, but I'm actually English by background, English and from New Zealand, and I've lived in Australia for a long time. So I'm a sort of real mix of nationalities. But you know, the English in me, Englishness in me. Of course, I love my cup of tea. Of course, I do. And that's the thing that I really miss on keto. And so, you know, no other kind of milk for me cuts it in a cup of tea. So what I do is I just plan for having 1 cup of tea a day. Like after I have my dinner, I'm like, right, now I'm going to have my cup of tea, and I have my splash of milk in my cup of tea, and just that 1 cup of tea. I really look forward to it after dinner. So the answer is we shouldn't be drinking milk because it has high sugar content in it. So when we make cheese and cream and cream doesn't have the sugars in it, and neither does cheese, but milk does. So we should not be drinking it. However, you know, we need to have this as a lifestyle for a lifetime. So, you know, if you're like me and there's just like one thing that you really, really love and you really, really miss, make it a treat. Like for me, I used to have like numerous cups of tea a day. Now I drink herbal teas, and I just have that 1 cup of tea at the end of the day as kind of like, oh, you know, I've made it through the day, I've done all my tasks, you know, and here's my little, and I have, you know, and I plan for it in my net carbs. So tell me, do you drink milk? Or do you drink an alternative kind of milk? I mean, I do make almond milk. I've got some hazelnuts in the cupboard at the moment. I'm going to make roast hazelnut milk, which, let me tell you, is absolutely delicious in coffee. When my daughter was little, when she was a baby, she was allergic to milk, in fact. And so I had to have no milk for, you know, about a year. And I discovered the only thing that really cut it for me in coffee was roast hazelnut milk. I wasn't keto at the time. I didn't have cream at the time. And I've discovered that for me, that's delicious. So for you, what's your milk substitute? If you really feel you need to have milk, what do you use as your substitute? Do you use cream? Do you use a nut milk? What do you use? Let us know in the comments. So that's our second question for the day. The next question I've got, just a couple more, is I hear a lot about apple cider vinegar. What does that mean for the keto diet? Well, this is actually a topic that I'm going to do a bit more research on because it's something I'm very interested in. Tell me, do you use apple cider vinegar at all as part of your keto program? Unsweetened almond milk, Alex, excellent. That's a really excellent choice. I do that myself as well. I love it with like a chia pudding, something like that. Really delicious. Or occasionally in my coffee. I sometimes make it with a bit of sesame seed as well. That can be a nice mixture because it's a lovely flavour. So we're just talking about apple cider vinegar. So this is something I'm going to do a bit more research on. But basically, the 2 ways that I use apple cider vinegar. First way is I use it when I make my chicken broth. If you put a couple of teaspoons, or your bone broth, if you put a couple of teaspoons of apple cider vinegar in with your broth when you're making it in your pot or in your slow cook or in your instant pot, what it does is it helps the minerals leach out of the bones in the bone broth that you're making, and so it just enables you to get extra nutrients into your body. The second way that you can use apple cider vinegar, and this is a little bit more challenging, is if you take a couple of teaspoons of it, I would suggest diluting it in water. If you take a couple of teaspoons in it just before you go to bed, there is some evidence that it will lower your glucose level in the morning if that's important for you. Now, I haven't done sort of a self-experiment on this yet. I'm about to do it. But I'd be interested to know, have you tried taking some vinegar at night? And if so, have you noticed any results? Just post that in the comments. So just a couple of things about taking apple cider vinegar. It's super strong. So just make sure you put it in a bit of water is one thing. And the second thing is that it's acid, very acidic, so it can really erode the enamel on your teeth. So you need to be super careful with it. So one suggestion is to drink it through a straw. I don't personally do that, because anytime I have a straw in the house, my daughter loves straws and they just disappear. So that's not really a practical solution for us. So what I do is, the minute I've had some apple cider vinegar, I immediately brush my teeth, rinse my mouth, make sure I've got any of that residual acid out of my teeth. So I hope you find that a little bit interesting. I just something that I want to do a bit more research on, and I'll come back to you guys another time, talk a little bit more about it. And then just our final question for today is, can I drink alcohol on the keto lifestyle? So tell me, do you like to have the occasional alcoholic beverage? How many do you have a week? Do you have one a day? Do you have one a week? One a month? Let us know in the comments down below. Tell us, we're not no judgment here. Just really interested. It's funny. I used to, love a glass of wine in the evening. I'd have one, maybe a couple of nights a week, and then on the weekend, and certainly if I was out with people. But now I just really actually went off alcohol, not for any particularly great reason. It just or any decision that I made. It just sort of naturally went off it. So I've just been interested to know how you feel about alcohol, and whether it's something you have just as a social occasion, or whether it's something that you like to have as a part of a relax at the end of the day. So you can drink alcohol on keto. I mean, obviously, if you're trying to lose weight, it's sort of we don't drink. We try not to drink our calories on keto. We like to eat our calories rather than drink them. But so if you're trying to lose weight, not ideal to be drinking. But if you want to have the occasional drink, I mean, actually went out. It was amazing. I went out for lunch with some colleagues the other day. I was like, oh my goodness, we're out and about. This is incredible. I did have a half a glass actually with them, because a number of people were leaving my client's company, and we wanted to celebrate them. So I had like a little half a glass of champagne, because that's a keto compliant, completer compliant drink, and it tasted great, let me tell you. So the sorts of things that you can drink on keto, alcoholic drinks that you can drink, champagne is okay, the dry champagne, not the really sweet one. Dry red wines, so the Shirazes, the Merlots, the ones that don't have the lower sugar content, and also the clear spirits, so like vodka and things that have the lower sugar content. If you're drinking a beer or white wine, they have a much higher sugar load and will knock you out of ketosis. If you're in a very solid state of ketosis, then if you're very careful about how you do it, a little bit of alcohol shouldn't knock you out. But definitely measure and check and see what works for you. I had that half a glass of champagne with a beautiful steak and some spinach, and absolutely zero carbs, and so that worked for me. So just be careful about how you do it, and think it. Alex, what are you saying? A light beer, yeah. Limit is 2, maybe 2 to 3 times a year. Well, I think that's definitely a healthy practice, and your limit is 2, and I think that's very wise. It's funny. Sometimes I have a glass of wine, and I go, oh, that was delicious. I think I'll have another one. And then when I get to the second one, I'm like, I'm done. I'm just done. And I think that's one of the things about keto. Kind of your tastes change. And, and that's what I like about it, is that it's easy, you don't have to force yourself. It doesn't have to be a big effort. Sometimes that takes a bit of time. It doesn't always happen overnight, but overnight you'll see those changes. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, just a few questions. And then, of course, I've remembered that I've said we're going to announce the winner of last week's competition. Last week's competition was about the most engagement, the most comments, and supportive commentary in the group. And I have to say, this is always such a close run thing. We have some fantastic members who are just really post some really interesting things, make some really interesting and helpful comments, and we've seen people sharing recipes and doing all those sorts of things, and it's just absolutely fantastic. So this week we have a wonderful runner-up. And the runner-up this week is, in a very close run thing, is Alex. Alex, you're the runner-up this week. I'm sorry you didn't quite get the Guernsey, as we say in Australia. You didn't quite get the Guernsey this week. I'm sorry. Very, very close. Our winner is actually a wonderful pizza maker, and I know, Alex, you gave her the recipe, is Diane Ayala. So Diane is our engineer in the group, and so congratulations, Diane, and we'll be getting that Amazon $25 Amazon voucher across to you. So better luck next time to everybody who is very close. And we're actually just going to change up the competition a little bit this week. And this week, the contest is going to be the person who invites the most people to the group. So there's a couple of caveats, so a couple of things I want to make sure about around that is only invite people that you think will be interested and will get value out of the group. So, don't invite your second cousin that you haven't seen for 20 years. Only, please, we want to keep this group valuable. Yeah, thanks, Addie. We want to keep this group, valuable and about keto. So please invite people who you think will be interested or that you've talked to about keto, or are already doing keto. And the second thing is that they must actually accept the group. So you can invite them, but what happens is that we see that they've been invited, and then we'll accept, but they still have to accept. So that's the other thing. So I've been a little bit tentative about doing this contest, but I think it's time to do it. So please think about who you think in your family and your friendship group would be interested in, and please do invite them. So let me know yes in the comments if you can think of somebody that you think would be interested in joining the group and that you're going to invite. So please just give us a yes in the comments. Great. Well, it's fantastic talking to you. I hope it's lovely and warm where you are. I'm sure it probably is. I hear there's been a bit of a nicer weather patterns on the other side of the globe. Here it's beautifully sunny, but deceptively cold. You go, my daughter went to childcare this morning in sandals, but it was in fact 0 degrees. But you know what kids are like; they don't feel the cold. So fantastic. Thanks for coming on the Facebook Live. It's great to see you. If there's any questions that you want the answers to, please pop in a post, pop them in the comments below. I do have one that I need to answer later this week, which will be about the long-term effects of keto. And I think that got requested by Diane. We will be answering, I will be answering that later in the week. I've come across a couple of really good proper scientific studies on precisely that. So I'm looking forward to talking to you about the results of those studies. We like to keep it smart in We Love Smart Keto, so we like to have the evidence. So I'll be talking to you about that. So anyway, great to see you. Thanks for coming on, and we'll see you next time. Bye.